We've got a Tudor's Biscuit NIL, all you can eat. So
you don't extend someone who just won you a conference championship, right? And now you have an insane mass exodus of players. What's happening at Marshall's is probably one of the craziest situations in college football history, but something that's going to continue to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, a mass exodus has happened with Marshall football. Now, so much, in fact, that they will not be able to play in the Independence Bowl against Army. Now, don't worry, no fret. They have pulled out, but LA Tech, who is the next up with their academic ratings, basically with equal standings. We'll get deeper into that. We're going to have a separate video on how bowl games work. We'll kind of explain that at XYZ. So don't feel bad for Army. They're going to get to beat up on LA Tech, on Louisiana Tech, and handle and have their bowl game. Congratulations to Army doing what they do the way they do it. But the bigger situation here is the fact that Marshall football has had over 30 transfers out. Ladies and gentlemen, the transfer portal, as I'm recording this, has only been open for a week, and they have 30 transfers out. Just to give you a comparative number, I went and looked up the stats for last year's biggest numbers for transfers out. Of course, at the top of the list is 44. Number 2 is 38, and we're going to get to that in just a second. And then we have Alabama, we have Louisville at 34, whatever. The consensus is that they are already a top transferred out team of all time, and especially over the last few years of the conception of the transfer portal, right? And that is all having to do with a particular head coach. That is Mr., if I can say his name right, Charles Huff, right? And now Mr. Charles Huff, this was Mr. First off, let me re-jog your memory, because I have a feeling you're forgetting who Charles Huff is. This electric factory of a man who had the greatest NIL pitch I've ever seen in America. Go ahead, give it to me.
And I feel good about the players we have.
Where's the volume? Oh, you can hear it? I can't hear it.
Would love to have some of those guys from Ohio State, too. So if they want to transfer on down, we've got a Tudor's Biscuit NIL, all you can eat. So if any of those guys that run really, really fast at Ohio State like Tudor's Biscuits, I promise you, all you can eat all day.
So what kind of coach, how does a coach that promises free Tudor's Biscuits and, by the way, led Marshall to a Sun Belt conference championship? I think that one's not as important, but yada, 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 conference championship, 10-2 on the season. But the Tudor's Biscuits, you're telling me that somehow Marshall allowed all these transfers out with an amazing head. Oh, wait a minute. Marshall didn't extend Charles Huff. Yes, the same Charles Huff that led them to a Sun Belt conference, and he's became the coach in 2021, starting off with 7-5. A rocky one here when you go to 9-4. No, not 9-4. Sorry, this was a good one. And then we go to 2023, which that was the rocky year at 6-7. And then this past recent year at 2024. At 10-3 Sun Belt champions, Marshall says, we don't want anything to do with you, Charles Huff. They didn't fire him. He just came to the end of his contract, and they didn't extend him. So what does he do? Well, I mean, he just goes down the road in conference, in the Sun Belt Conference, and gets a job with them goddamn Southern Missouri boys down there. So he's down there ready to orchestrate what he seems to be another championship level team in Southern Miss in the same conference. And mind you, Marshall isn't in just the same conference as Southern Miss. Marshall was the top #1 in the Sun Belt, won the Sun Belt, all this other stuff. And if I could just show you who's at the bottom of the Sun Belt, you probably would never guess that it was, of course, Southern Miss. Right here, Southern Mississippi Eagles, right at well, you can't see because my head's in the way. Southern Mississippi Eagles right here at the bottom of it. So a bottom league team saw the greatness of the top tier team in the same conference and said, get over here. That's insane. And that's craziness. But back to the even crazier part, you don't extend someone who just won you a conference championship, right? And now you have an insane mass exodus of players. Like I said, I counted it. Some sites are saying 30, some are saying 20 something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And I'm not counting them all again. It's 30. It's over 30. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of dogs leaving. Okay. So when you promise free biscuits, right, and you have the Tudor's Biscuits, clearly something else is going on. So and this hasn't been updated as well. I also want to compare it to just some of the top rankings right now when it comes to the transfer portal. Kentucky has 20, Arizona has 21. UCF has 22, and Arizona, as of this, and this article was made 2-3 days ago, has 24. So Marshall is
the transfer portal
is by all means at a whole nother level when it comes to insane mass exodus. And before we get into it, because we're gonna watch a few more videos, we're gonna get into a few more pieces of stats and facts and things, just to and even watch some interviews and talk about, because he got to talk about his time what's it called, at Marshall, and how that ended. So we're gonna get into that press conference here, but I just want to say this last part. We talk a lot about NIL on this channel. We talk about transfer portal, and we talk about how it's changing college football. And I think this is one of those changes that is just inevitable, right? And I say all these things to say that don't paint Mr. Charles Huff in a certain life in a certain way. Remember Signetti. Remember Indiana, the team I was telling you about, right? Remember how they had all those crazy transfers out last season because they had a new head coach come in. Now, this all sounds like a certain head coach from Jackson State who went from an HBCU to Colorado, but people don't want to call it the Deion Sanders method, so whatever. But we'll call it the Signetti method, okay? Signetti went and left, and they had a bunch of people leave in the transfer portal, but guess what? Signetti brought all his boys from JMU. He brought a whole roster from JMU over to Indiana, and they do what they do and make it to the playoffs. Now, we have Charles Huff doing it in the Sun Belt, in the Fun Belt. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what college football is about, right? I know we hate NIL. I know there's problems. I know transport has issues, but the fact that one coach, that these young men can say, "Hey, we believe in this coach, and we want to go wherever he goes." I gotta be honest with you. For a world in college football where we say there is no more passion for the game, in a world in college football where we say people are just in it for the money, they're just in it for this. This is an entire roster of young men inspired by a leader of men wanting to go anywhere, any shape, any place. Hey, how about the worst team in the conference? Let's do it, coach, because I believe in you. So don't give up on college football yet, man. There's some amazing things going on there. So 1 second, we're about to load up this interview, and then after that, we're gonna read up a few more things. And just like we talked about, here is Charles Huff in his accepting speech into Southern Miss, addressing the situation that happened at Marshall.
Process put in place by the administration, and they went through that process thoroughly. At the end of it, they felt going in another direction was the right decision. That decision was probably made before we won the championship, if that makes sense. It was a mutual decision. It wasn't a knockdown, drag out. Before we got to the winning of the championship, there were some opportunities at other places that presented themselves. And out of respect for my family and where we were in a contract situation, some of those had to be vetted. Some of those had to be researched. A lot of appreciation for Jeremy and his staff for waiting until after the championship before we got heavy into it. But again, it was a decision that was made. I think it was probably made before we were champions. And then as the actual parting was a mutual. Hey, we understand your situation. You understand ours. It's not, what do you call it? It's not traditional. It doesn't always have great answers, but it was where we were left in the moment, if that makes sense. And it wasn't okay, you're looking at, championship to worst team in the conference. It was, hey, you're looking at a situation where holistically you feel you're in a better situation, people, resources, opportunity, community buy-in, everything involved.
That is astounding to see. So, and I know I did a lot of huffing and puffing, and I appreciate him for giving the diplomatic answer. But the truth is that they want to pay him. That if we're being honest here, you didn't want to pay him. And I know he talks about, look, hey, this decision was made before conference championship, but it was made while y'all having a winning season. That's at the skinny of it. In the Sun Belt Conference, en route to winning a conference championship is huge. Okay, so I don't want that to be lost. I don't want that to be like he's a head coach. He's doing what he's supposed to do, cleaning things up, making it seem like everything's okay. But when he talks about opportunities in the contract not being where he was like, yo, y'all wasn't going to pay me no money, no way. So let me go ahead and get this job, win this chip, make myself look even like a better hire to this new place I'm going to, and then double down. that's phenomenal stuff, man. And I really wish him the best. Like I said, that Tudor's biscuit thing was one of my highlights of the season. You see him here, like, and this is what I mean. Like, this is real, true love. And I meant to do this, but let's go ahead and pull it up. Let's talk about him winning the conference championship. And let's see how his players embraced him, right? This is not just some dude, just some guy. They won this conference championship, the Sun Belt championship, and look what the players.
Linebacker Jaden Yates, we ask you please make sure to silence your phones. We'll ask the coach to make an opening statement.
The season, that's what easy, man. They
We're gonna get to these players. Hear them say some good things.
It's a process-driven program, team. So, I mean, kind of fall in love with the process in January. I mean, we were working in January for a goal that was 11, 12 months down the road. A lot of people, a lot of group of guys, they don't have the mental fortitude to kind of keep going and remember that's the ultimate goal. So really, really proud of the guys. I mean, really proud of the coach, the whole program. And we were able to get a big one done today.
Coach has talked a lot about that. It's the players that go out there and win games. But what can each of you say about the job he's done this year?
Yeah, so of course, Coach Huff isn't out there playing with us. I think what he did do a good job at is letting us figure things out. I kind of touched on that earlier. It's just like whatever we felt comfortable with, wherever we thought that was going to work, he was going to be okay with letting us do it. And, of course, he put his 2 cents in. And that kind of just married up with what we came with, and I kind of think that he just kind of just let us figure things out. Like, I feel like now in college football is like you really got to be a yes sir to some people, and Coach Huff is one of those guys where anybody can just go in his office and talk to him. It's always open, and
that's just phenomenal, and that's what you want to hear, and that's what you want to see consistently, right? So the fact that he was able to be put in that situation, my man with the biscuits, right, with a giant mass exodus, right, they opt out of the bowl game, and that's crazy. So remember that's Marshall. That's on Marshall. That's not on him. That is on Marshall for not fielding the team. They still have a team. They haven't announced a head coach. Marshall hasn't done anything. So it appears, Southern Miss is going. They've got a team. They got things rolling. They got people transferred out. It seems like Southern Miss is ready to rock and roll, but Marshall was just sitting there with a conference championship and then no head coach. It's a wild situation going on, a wild time in college football, man. But y'all get in the comments, tell me how y'all feel about it. Y'all gonna support our biscuit man? Y'all gonna support Marshall, man? How y'all feel about it? Leave a like if you like it, dislike if you don't like it, and we'll see you next time. All right.